Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Midday Live, coming to you from our studio here at Desanwe in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu-Date. Coming up for the next 1 hour, we'll be looking at the big stories happening within the political space as the governing New Patriotic Party files a petition for the arrest and prosecution of former President John Dramani Mahama and the chairman of the NDC. Details shortly. And later on the international front, Kenya's main opposition coalition plans to hold direct engagement with public as it prepares for talks with the government on electoral reform. Thank you for staying with us. Let's settle for the details of our stories. Now, we are going heavy on politics as our start story. The national organizer of the New Patriotic Party has petitioned the Ghana Police Service to arrest and investigate and prosecute former President John Dramani Mahama and the national chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, over what the NPP believes are treasonable and offensive conduct conducive of breaching the peace of the country. According to the NPP statement, former President John Mahama said the 2024 general elections was one of do or die and boot for boot, which they believe means that the NDC will use fair or foul means to win the upcoming general elections. This comes barely 24 hours after the NDC filed similar petition with the police CID to arrest the Agric Minister Brian Achampong over his comments that his party, the NPP, will never, ever hand over power to the NDC. The party said John Mahama had on many occasions described the 2024 general elections as one that will be do or die, and this has in many ways stoked quite a conversation within the political space, with both parties accusing each other, saying that one party or the other said worse things that breach or likely to breach the peace of the country. And this has also been condemned by many people within the political space. So we want to find out what exactly the two parties are saying on the All right, so we'll go to the phone lines now and engage the thoughts of the Director of Communications of the NPP, Richard Ahiagba, who has joined us. Mr. Ahiagba, good afternoon. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon.
To start with, there are those who are saying that this clearly is an afterthought and a knee-jerk reaction on the part of the NPP, that you wait until the NDC decide to petition the police CID over comments made by the NPP's Brian Achampong before you then also realize that, oh, well, similar comments or even probably worse comments were made by the NDC, so let's also petition. Well, how do you react to that kind of accusation?
Well, thank you very much. I think this issue has been carrying on since the weekend when the comment was made. Our response in terms of the statements that Honorable Brian Achampong made, and if you listen to it, something that continues to baffle me, how is it that in the media we can't settle this issue? Yes, that is a response to a statement made, because when he texted his statement to say if, which is a conditional statement contingent upon what the NDC had said, the operatives of the NDC have said, including the former president and the chairman of the party, to say that if violence is what you are bringing to contend the 2024 election, then we'll show you we have the men. Now, a conversation like this should be straightforward for us to resolve, that somebody said something and another is responding to it. So there's a context for the conversation. Now, so if you want to resolve that, you said, what did he say to merit the response? Then we analyze the issue from there. But somehow the media, you're playing your role, but then not as effective as I would want. Perhaps that is just a difference of opinion because of where I stand. But I think that when an issue breaks those of you who are moderating the issue should be able to set the conversation right. That because you said A, he said B in response. So if you want B to go, then A must retract, and therefore B is completely invalidated. The cause is creating the effect, and once the cause is dealt with, the effect will be absent. So what you have seen and what you have referenced to me now is our own petition to the CID, the police authorities, to investigate and then arrest accordingly if their evidence leads to that the individual cited in the petition in the person of the former president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and also the chairman, the senior, most experienced General Secretary of the NDC. We are making that petition upon their petition that they have made to say that, well, we took in what you were saying and didn't want to make a big deal out of it, only to serve you notice that stop talking violence. But then if they want to carry their conversation forward for the authorities to investigate, then we need to add the cost to it. Because what they have sent to the
but Mr. Ayagba, wouldn't that be subject to interpretation by whoever is listening? That, I mean, if you say one party or the other said something that, you know, could breach the peace of the country, that is subject to how you interpret it, wouldn't it?
Sorry, ask your question again.
Yes, I'm asking that, wouldn't you agree with those who say it is clearly subject to interpretation, how you interpret someone's comment of the 2024 election is a do or die affair? So how you interpret that to mean it is treasonable and an affront to the peace of the country might be different from someone vis-a-vis what Brian Acheampong said, that he will never, or the NPP will never ever hand over power to the NDC if they win. That's clearly subject to interpretation, wouldn't it?
So I'm not following your question, but I want to tell you there are two streams of issues that you just brought. The aspect that dealt with we won't hand over power to the NDC is a separate conversation. And the part which is being petitioned now, which has to do with the violence part and the commentary of the NDC, which we find offensive and necessarily have to respond to, that's also a different stream. So I'm just saying that what they are taking petition that they have sent, and we are also sending our petition, the basis of which the response came from Honorable Brian, we're also sending our petition. So for the police to have full context, the cause of the matter and our response. They send the cause, our response to their statement. If we don't send the reason why we respond, then they will be investigating nothing. So we send the cause so they can investigate the cause and assess the response. So that's a separate issue. But if you're talking separately about the conversation about we are not going to hand over power, then we can deal with that. But your reference for me is to talk about the petition and why we are petitioning. So I think that one is clear.
And finally, before you take leave, I mean, clearly we are even in the early days of this political campaign activity, so we are expecting a lot more rhetoric, hopefully none that could, be an affront to the peace of the country. But on the face of it, wouldn't you say such comments coming from either side of the party should be condemned? Shouldn't you even condemn it first before even thinking of, well, they've gone to the police, so let's also go to the police? Because if the country is in turmoil, there's chaos, you wouldn't even have a political party to campaign with to want to win power. Do you agree to that?
Certainly. I mean, but then, of course, the heat is occasioned by the NDC rhetoric. We have not proposed any such harsh talk in the country. And in fact, our history explains to you who we are. I agree with you that this should not be part of our conversation. But if you have a chairman, all right, and this was the impression created in the minds of everyone, that the minute the NDC elected General Seydou Nketia and my own good brother Fifi Kwete, then there's an appearance of some kind of hardcore approach to politics.
Right.
And so suddenly the tone changed in the NDC. They're talking hard. They're talking, very brash stuff. We, the NPP, you've known us. Our approach to politics is clear. We wanted democracy. Back in the day when PNDC had all the guns were pointing at us, and we went with bare hands to engage them till we had democracy in this Fourth Republic. So if you're looking for those who want to occasion violence in this country, you don't look at the NPP. In fact, the conversation of the NDC says that they have revolutionary roots. So they are touting the fact that they are violent. They accept that. So if you have a conversation with two people, one a dove and one a hawk, between the two, if you're looking for who may have occasioned violence or who has a tendency to occasion violence, you look to the hawk, not the dove. We have not created any such tension in this country. We are only telling them enough. If you keep talking this way, we too have the men who can act that way, but we prefer democracy. Come, let's do democracy, not violence.
Thank you. Mr. Richard Ahiagba, Director of Communications of the New Patriotic Party. So clearly their position is that if the NDC has decided for the IGP, the police service, the CID to investigate, in fact, arrest, prosecute and investigate, that is Brian Acheampong, then they have also called on the IGP, the Ghana Police Service, the CID, to also arrest former President John Dramani Mahama and the National Chairman of the NDC. You know, they also are asking for investigations into their comments made some time ago, which the NPP believes are treasonable and offensive to and could breach the peace of the country. So they are also asking for action to be taken. But on the face of it, what should the position of these parties be? Let's find out what the NDC also thinks about this latest petition asking the police to arrest former President John Dramani Mahama and the chair of the NDC now, Johnson Essiedu Nketia. And like you watching as the electorate, the one who even decides to give power to either party, what do you make of the rhetoric from both parties? And should that be the focus of the 2024 elections? Shouldn't peace be a primary indicator for everyone to pursue whilst we dialogue regarding issues about healthcare and safety and security and growth and development? Aren't those the necessary things we all need to be paying attention to? When we do get the respondent from the side of the NDC, we'll put some of these questions to him on it. So we would also be happy to hear from you, the viewer. Let's know what you think and how we can advance and grow our democracy. We'll be happy to share that with the rest of the world. This is still Midday Live on TV3. Let's look at some other big trending issues. Started a few days ago and still very topical. It has to do with Ghanaian health professionals, specifically nurses who are, moving out of Ghana in their droves to elsewhere, specifically the UK. So the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association says migration of health professionals will continue until government enhances the working conditions of healthcare workers. Ghana is among 54 countries put on a red alert list by the UK government. The code, titled Code of Practice Red and Amber List of Countries, states that some developing countries, such as Ghana, should not be targeted when actively recruiting healthcare professionals. According to the UK government, the list is based upon the World Health Organization Workforce Support and Safeguard List 2023 and will be updated alongside progress report on the World Health Organization's Global Code implementation and report to the World Health Assembly every 3 years. In March, you would recall that the World Health Organization included Ghana to the 54-country list on its health workforce support and safeguard list, stating that these countries face the most pressing health workforce challenge related to universal health coverage. And that's the premise on which we would want to, engage the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association on really how disturbing is this, specifically to their cause in providing healthcare for the citizenry and what we can do as a nation to reverse the trend. Let's take a look at some statistics that will, engage the thoughts of our guest on this. On the 14th of March 2023, so on your screen now are some of the areas that a lot of health professionals have moved to. So the World Health Organization's Africa region, for instance, is about 37, and this is the World Health Organization Health Workforce Support List. The Western Pacific region is ranked 8th, Eastern Mediterranean region 6th, Southeast Asian region 3, the Americas 1, countries newly added since original publication in 2020, about 8. So this is in terms of the number of countries and that are participating in this, from which we have a sizable number of health professionals exiting their shores to go seek greener pastures elsewhere or practice their trade elsewhere. David Tenkran-Chum is General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. He's joined us via Zoom for a quick conversation on this. Mr. Tenkran-Chum, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, my brother. And good afternoon to your listeners and viewers.
Right, thank you. For starters, is this disturbing, especially to your initial agenda of ensuring that you have well-trained professionals who in turn provide the necessary healthcare for the Ghanaian citizenry? Now that we have huge numbers moving out in droves, how disturbing is that to the profession?
All right. All right. If you can hear me, I think it's quite a disturbing issue because it's going to negatively impact on the healthcare delivery in Ghana. And mind you, the government has set out to build Agenda 111, and all these hospitals will have to be populated by nurses and midwives. So once we don't take any drastic action to stop the situation, it will certainly adversely affect or impact on the healthcare delivery.
And you mentioned that we need to take drastic steps. So what would some of these drastic steps be, and why is it that we've not taken them since this has been ongoing for quite a number of years now?
All right, so we as technocrats, and for that matter, union leaders, appeal to government as far back as 2020. We saw this coming even before COVID reared its ugly head. We knew those things were going to happen because of visits. Because some of the Scandinavian countries and other European countries have had their nurses moved out of UK, and therefore we had seen a certain attention being drawn in respect to attrition of nurses and midwives towards that enclave. So we cautioned government that we needed, improve the service conditions of nurses and midwives. I have said it copiously that the salaries of nurses and midwives in Ghana is nothing to write home about. There is no condition of service in terms of food allowances or accommodation allowance, rent allowance, or anything. Anything that went for nurses and midwives years back had been removed. I remember nurses had something we call car waiver, and once were able to raise a little amount of money and you got car, bought from outside or imported a car from outside, you were, going to take that car out of the place without paying duties. And that was stopped. Okay, we had something we call market premium, which was attached to our salaries, and anytime that the salary inched up, the market premium also goes up a little. That was frozen by the erstwhile administration, and it meant that our salary had hit by inflation and the economic conditions of the country. So obviously nurses are worse off, midwives are worse off in this country, and once opportunities are created outside, they will live in their groups, as we are witnessing right now.
And so the way forward, clearly, we know that Ghana has been placed on a red list, which primarily means that even the World Health Organization sees that the country could be facing some severe losses in terms of critical nurses leaving the country if something is not done about it. Is there any plan, probably between your association, the government, and other external bodies at the World Health Organization, to see how best we can improve the services here and find a way of retaining some of our nurses here? Or probably when they go, there will be a way of, if maybe an exchange program or something? Is there any program in place like that?
Well, what I knew was that some few countries, appeal to government of Ghana for necessary midwives. And currently, I know that there's an arrangement like that between Ghana and UK. And I don't know how this directive will affect it. I read the directive. It appears as though if there is any scheduled memorandum of understanding between government of Ghana and UK to take into consideration all the ethical recruitment as spelled out in the directive, and that will not affect it. Mind you, the individual necessary midwife can also leave. Okay, the directive does not restrict them from traveling abroad. What I think the government should do is to be able to improve the service condition. I've said that they should increase the salaries of necessary midwives. They should give them incentives, allowances. We can sign a memorandum of understanding with UK government, tell them that, look, here, the people are coming anyway. We cannot stop them from coming because migration is a right. So instead of just saying that, oh, we abhor active recruitment, but the people can come by themselves, it boils down to nothing. So let's have an arrangement where we can get you a certain number of nurses, or can give you a certain number of nurses and midwives. Then you pay us a certain amount of money, not as paltry as the minister once said in Parliament. How much is £1,000 for nurses and midwives? So maybe we can say that every month, whatever taxes that are supposed to go to the UK government will be repatriated to Ghana, because we used our taxpayers' money more or less to train these nurses and midwives. Absolutely. So if we ship them to you, then whatever taxes that would have hitherto accrue to you based on the work that they do there will be repatriated to Ghana, and that will help us to be able to incentivize those who are here. The money shouldn't come for the ministry to misuse it, but should go to pay maybe retention premium, right, for those who are remaining, okay, so that they can give up their best, because we need our skilled manpower to take care of the good people of this country. Mind you, those who are leaving are not those who just completed fresh from school. They are the experienced ones, those who have 10 years to go on retirement, those who have 50 years to go on retirement. So there's going to be a vacuum, because these are the very experienced, competent nurses and midwives who are supposed to more or less mentor the newly recruited. Right. So if we allow them to leave the way they are leaving, then we will have problems. Obviously, we cannot stop them. And I've been told that the minister has since felt
All right. Mr. Chum, thank you. David Tinkran Chum is the General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate the conversation. We'll definitely continue, and we'll see better ways of either slowing down the trend or reversing it, or at least benefiting from it as a country. Pleasure talking to you. You're still watching Midday Live on TV3. Let's shift our attention to other stories now. A coalition of individual bondholders has petitioned President Akufo-Addo to address the non-payment of matured bonds which were not tendered under the Domestic Debt Exchange Program. The petition was submitted by the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum and the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana. The two groups expressed disappointment that the government had failed to honor the payment of the matured bonds, which totaled 1 billion cedis despite several assurances. The groups, in a statement, said they have on 4 occasions requested the Minister of Finance to devise a payment schedule to provide guidance to investors, but this seems not to have happened. And on the back of that, they have petitioned President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Let's speak to Martin Kpebu, who speaks for the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana. Mr. Kpebu, good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Martin. Yeah.
Right, and help us with maybe figures you may. How much in terms of monetary value of the bonds are we talking about?
So that is 1 billion. So simply put, 1 billion, but the exact figure is 1,051,548,000.
Okay. Yeah. And we also gleaned from your letter that on 4 occasions you had written to the finance minister to try and get a schedule or a timetable of a sort that you could work with. What kind of responses have you had with all these letters written?
Nothing. You see, the finance minister wouldn't mind us. He just couldn't care less, you know. He just thinks he can use this approach, delay payments, and then, so he's robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know, Martin, what has been said from the beginning is that what we had to do was look into the budget, cut a lot of the capital expenditure and the other discretionary spendings. You remember, look, last year, the audit report shows they spent about 15 million Ghana on ties and batteries alone in the office of the president. 15 million Ghana. Why? Then you see they did the retreat at Peduasi Lodge. That retreat alone, 4.8 million, and so on and so forth. So there are lots of things that the president can cut back on, both discretionary and then there's the recurrent expenditure and the capital expenditure. We should cut. We always say cut. Everybody agrees that we should cut on our expenditure. We are living beyond our means, okay? You know, the saying that goes that you have to cut your coat according to your cloth. You can't go and be looking for a big coat when your cloth is very small. So your resources are small and you want to wear a big coat.
Right.
That's not good.
And still on the back of that, we know that earlier the argument or the conversation hinged on total exemption from the domestic debt exchange program, and we know that that was done. Beyond that, government also gave the assurance of payment. Has any payment been done at all? Did it start and has now halted, or it didn't start at all and you are still having challenges in reaching the finance minister?
Yeah, they started. They did a bit and then stopped. You know, there were some payments that were to be made, say, for February, right, etc. But the government used the domestic debt exchange as a ruse in order not to pay those ones. So eventually, after the domestic debt exchange, they paid, okay? It said they were going to start on the 13th. You know, 27th of February, they issued the notice that they will start on the 13th of March. 13th came, they didn't do it, right? But long story short, eventually they paid some people. But right now, as we talk, we have about 5 that are outstanding. 20th February, 6th March, 20th March, 27th March, and then 30th March. That's what's totaling the 1 billion. And you know, Martin, it's so unfair because, Martin, you and I know that these are the very bonds that the president and his family have made money from through Data Bank. Yes, the president of Ofori-Atta have made lots of money from these very bonds because Data Bank had to give advice and also is a primary dealer. So they've made fees and commissions from these bonds. And they are now being insensitive. You see how painful it is? You have made hundreds of millions and now it's time to pay us. You don't want to pay, but rather you want to continue your developmental projects. How can you kill your citizens in the name of development? Article 36 of the Constitution makes it clear that don't kill citizens in the name of development. No, that in developing, make sure that you provide adequate livelihood for the people. So in actual fact, if we're reading it on the face of it, government must feed all of us before they even embark on development. But we all understand that will take too much of the money. So government feeds only a few, the lead people. But the rest of us, we've managed to get some savings, we've lent it to you, it's time to pay her. Now you are playing hanky-panky, robbing Peter to pay Paul, etc.
So what exactly are you looking forward from the president or looking forward to hearing from the president now that you've petitioned him?
That he will order the finance minister to pay us forthwith. We don't want any more hanky-panky, robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of things. They should just pay us. There's lots of money to pay. Look in the budget. What we have to do is cut down our expenditure. You can't continue at this rate. We have about 23 billion for capital expenditure. We can cut there. And then earlier on, I mentioned the recurrent expenditure, some of the waste, the profligacy, they have to cut. Office of the President, batteries, ties, 15 million. Peduasi retreat, 4.8 million, etc. Such waste. The Kufuor who promised to protect the public purse now has raped the public purse.
Mr. Kwebu, thank you so much. Certainly one that would also be interested in keeping an eye on following up through. Thank you. Martin Kwebu, there's a legal professional and also speaks for the Individual Bondholders Association. We'll update you in subsequent bulletins on how all of this plays out. You're still watching Midday Live on TV3. There's more right after this. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chese na me ankasa me period na se problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chese na nya asem ketewa na me coin point no mo hwe me mogam no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro me fire no ene ma won kra me enu kofro kwa na mkwan mu a eba
head everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama nu a ene ne ho eden a watumi asori anante.
That's end point for you of Acrobato. Hello hey ohwehwe what che okay a free bra wo di end point what dance am me call you no me Joseph Sema na enkoyie e paso na ma yemre nyina na magina sebema na me be fie for there e ho na nyina jaresa. You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
Abrantie mi hu fum so bia won ho I see ku sa abrantie we o ka kire nkrofo ni se memo bia nto home of line e wo so bia keke na o sa kwa so ajenkwa ohene sesai kan ni important ni na odin nchesha dada manfo ase o madu poto mewi na mesi ya ka ha kwa ko ke ho se na wa se o iti wa himie wa hifa
asasi anyone did do anyina ya mini meja dia na mo ha se memo nipa hunu ne ye na ye papa
ne na ye papa
ani so nipa beto ni home appliances nyina wo kafam eso se woni onye mim so fa so pe istay kafam so te oteto woni ema no so akodu 65%.
TV ke se pa no boy se
nso o ma so te o
ya TV ke se wa hifia
oni how
yeah abrantie me bisamu a obi antimi ka kire me de ntie se me kuno ensam o kan susu to asum afi wei ye de Yesu hu be che no if so kan sempa afi foforo no ye badwe maka famfo enso to
oni how hello kafam uma sorti Ponto Pilato mame
digital Zacchaeus Michelle Kofaka from TV kese no brem
Ratchet ma abonya ha
Kafam Assorti Easter promo up to 65% off.
Who wins season 14 of Talented Kids? Is it MFC Dance Camp, Abigail, Rahman, Eloquence, Darkness Models, or Emily? It's the final showdown with the 6 finalists of Talented Kids live from the Accra International Conference Center from 3 p.m. Our finalists have worked tirelessly to perfect their craft and they are ready to take the stage and give it their all. From mesmerizing dance routines to spellbinding singing performances, incredible modeling moves to word dexterity, there is something for everyone.
How many millions are laughing under the capacious belly of the earth?
It's going to be a night of celebration of young talents and an opportunity to witness the stars of tomorrow shine bright today. Tickets are selling at a cool 30 Ghana cedis at the front desk of TV3. To vote for your favorite contestants, dial *713*13# or download the TV3 Reality app to vote. Talented Kids, free to play.
Powered by Indomie. Sponsored by Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, Cowbell, Heaven Black Mosquito Coil and Insecticide Spray, Enapa Mackerel, Kiki Juice Drink, Flora Tissues, Top Choco, Coco Plus,
Deluxy Acrylic Paint.
Welcome back to Midday Live on TV3. Menu Afole is with us now for the latest in the world of business. Hello, Menu.
Hi, Martin.
All right, so take it away. Let's know what's happening.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the business segment. You're still watching Midday Live and I'm Menu Afole. Now, on top of our headlines today, inflation for the month of March dropped sharply to 45%, according to the latest figures from the Ghana Statistical Service. The latest figure represents an almost 7.8 percentage points decrease from last month's inflation of 52.8%. This means that even though the general price levels of goods and services is high, the rate of increase now is lower than last month's figure. So essentially, the 45% recorded for March was influenced by some deflation recorded by the food and non-alcoholic beverages group. According to government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna Enim, the fall shows the ongoing downward trend of inflation, and only a few subgroups recorded inflation during the period. The Western North region recorded the highest rate of inflation, while the Volta region was the least. We'll stay a while on inflation because the International Monetary Fund has revised its average inflation forecast for Ghana in 2023 to 45.4%. According to the fund's April 2023 World Economic Outlook report, inflation in Ghana will, however, end the year at 29.4%. There's more in this news desk report. This is in line with the high prices of foodstuff and other commodities such as crude oil on the world market. The report also projects that inflation in 2024 will average at 22.2% and end the year at 15%. The World Economic Outlook report further states that global headline inflation has been declining since mid-2022 at the 3-month seasonally adjusted annualized rate. A fall in fuel and energy commodity prices, particularly for the United States, Euro area and Latin America, has contributed to this decline. To dampen demand and reduce underlying core inflation, the fund pointed out that central banks around the world have been raising interest rates since 2021, both at a faster pace and in a more synchronous manner. Well, away from that, Professor of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfred Wepin, says government efforts to drive down interest rates will be heavily thwarted by inflation and rising fiscal gaps. Interest rates on Treasury bills have seen a remarkable reduction over the last few weeks, a trend which was expected to continue but has since staggered. Speaking in an interview with 3 Business, Professor Wepin said it will be tough.
Because of what the domestic debt exchange has done, it has actually wounded confidence in Ghana's financial market, particularly in the capital market. And therefore, the understanding is that it's not going to be that attractive for government to issue fresh bonds. And perhaps any bonds that government will issue now, maybe after 2023 or so, has to be a tap-in. In other words, those bonds must have similar characteristics as the new bonds that were issued in exchange for the old bonds. Now you also see that with the domestic debt exchange, what government was trying to do was to create a new yield curve in the markets, right? And for that to be effective, you need to drag down the treasury bill rate and also bring down the policy rate. Bank of Ghana is unable to bring down the policy rate to align with the new yield curve simply because inflation has stubbornly remained at the top. Okay, and government desire to drag down treasury bill rate is also going to be affected because of the huge funding gap and our loss of access to market, especially from the international capital market.
Let's talk about fuel now, because oil marketing company GOIL has attributed current fuel shortages across the country to operational challenges occasioned by supply disruptions. Now, in a statement issued by the company, it says it had taken delivery of enough products and taken steps to dispatch over 2 million litres of fuel stations experiencing shortages. The statement says over 2 million more litres will be dispatched today. This follows days of fuel shortages across most GOIL stations in the country. And that's it for the business segment. I am Menu Afo. Stay with us for sports.
When it comes to the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, just like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer with a shot from the logo, like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my waist to a knockout, like Africa's greatest boxer, Azumah Nelson.
Running so fast I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up. What makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to all the extensive highlights, analysis, and insights. So do join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on 3FM 92.7 as we serve you the best sports buffet and most satisfying in the sports world. The 3 Sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in the sports world here on Sports Ultras.
No matter where,
the Capitals always tuned in their offices.
You actually played it before, right? Yeah. Oh, okay.
In their retail centers.
Even in their busy marketplaces.
Oh, she did that song for like what?
And in their cars.
Even in their homes and in their rooms, they listen. The Capital is always tuned in.
Yes, we run the city. Here on 3FM 92.7.
Your Urban Lifestyle Radio.
Join Giovanni and AJ Sapon on 3FM Drive 92.7 Monday to Friday from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. We run the city on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio station.
Who wins season 14 of Talented Kids? Is it NFC Dance Camp, Abigail, Rahman, Eloquence, Darkness Models, or Emily? It's the final showdown with the 6 finalists of Talented Kids live from the Accra International Conference Center. From 3 p.m. Our finalists have worked tirelessly to perfect their craft and they are ready to take the stage and give it their all. From mesmerizing dance routines to spellbinding singing performances, incredible modeling moves to word dexterity, there is something for everyone.
How many minutes are laughing under the capacious belly of the enemy?
It's going to be a night of celebration of young talents and an opportunity to witness the stars of tomorrow shine bright today. Tickets are selling at a cool 30 Ghana cedis at the front desk of TV3. To vote for your favorite contestants, dial *713*13# or download the TV3 reality app to vote. Talented Kids, free to play.
Powered by Indomie. Sponsored by Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, Cowbell, Heaven Black Mosquito Coil and Insecticide Spray, Enapa Mackerel, Kiki Juice Drink, Flora Tissues, Top Choco, Coco Plus,
Deluxe Acrylic Paint.
It's about to get more sporty with a touch of super entertainment with your favorite stars.
Times we play the Quitinga, the Chaskele, the football.
Who should I take? Tony Cruz? Why?
While keeping you up to date with every trending issue in your world of sports on Warmer Plus.
But in comes Thomas Tuchel and everything changes. And when he said he wanted to be better than me, I was happy.
Let's keep it more sporty and super entertaining.
Warm Up Plus now shows on Saturdays at 11 a.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Betway.
Welcome back to Midday Live on TV3. Time now for sports. Yao Fosolabi joins us in studio for the latest. Hello, Yao.
Yeah. Hello, Martin. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. So yesterday there was Champions League action expected today.
Yeah, expected today, and today cracking fixture. I mean, Chelsea, Real Madrid. The last time they met, Chelsea were victorious, and Madrid would want 1 over Chelsea.
Yeah.
And looking at Chelsea's very checkered form this season, you just expect
look good for them
the win to go to Madrid. And Madrid are coming back from a defeat over the weekend against Villarreal. So it's a tough one. It will be tough to see.
We'll look forward to that.
But let's get into sports news this afternoon here on Midday Live on TV3. Now, after a long hiatus, futsal is set to return to the Ghanaian scene. My colleague Oreko Ampofo was at the launch of the Ghana Futsal Premier League and filed this report.
Did you know that almost 27 years ago, Ghana finished as runners-up at the African Futsal Cup of Nations, losing narrowly to host Egypt in Cairo? Well, since then, the sport has gone into a state of oblivion here in Ghana, but that could change pretty soon with the launch of the Ghana Futsal Premier League. The league will be made of 16 different teams, all from Greater Accra region, but then they will be divided into 2 zones, the winner from each zone meeting in the finale to determine the winner of the maiden Ghana Futsal Premier League. With the sport being away for so long, there are many impending challenges facing the resumption of the league.
Futsal normally is played on the soft surface, that's a wooden surface. But in Ghana, we have only 2 halls like that. The Atramani Hall and then the Bukum Arena, which is also crowded. So we decided, I came up with the idea that why don't we play outdoor? Secondly, the balls that we are supposed to use for futsal is different from the normal footballs. So once we opted for the AstroTurf, it means that we have to also come up with something different. So we chose a case for normal football to be used.
Despite the sport being in its budding stage, there is hope that a national team can be developed that will compete at the continental stage.
So in immediate terms, we want to make sure that the futsal league is stable.
the futsal league is visible to the people. I mean, beyond this, I mean, you want to look at a successful futsal season, a national league being put, a national team being put together, and hopefully competing on the African continent.
There will be 2 centres used for the league, the Bauleshi and Lashibi AstroTurf pitches. The league is expected to kick off much later this month on April 22nd. Ure Kwampofo reporting for 3 Sports from the GFA Secretariat.
And on some more stories, and the IHF Africa Zone 3 tournament is already underway at the Accra Sports Stadium. Now here is how things went down on day 1.
The event, which is being held for the first time in Ghana, saw the Ghana Under-17 women's handball team beat their counterpart from Benin 36-22. Head coach of the side, Philippine Dede, praised their team for putting up such a performance.
The girls prepared for this match, and then we are prepared to host and then win this tournament. So I think they played their best, but then the subsequent matches, they'll do better.
Salifu Balkisu was adjudged the best player against Benin. She gave credit to her teammates for helping her win the prize.
I am very happy. I wasn't expecting it because we all did well. But for them choosing me as the best player, I think I did my best. Although we all did well, but it's teamwork.
Following the first game was the opening ceremony. It was a very colorful display with the Gamashi cultural troupe entertaining dignitaries and the fans present. Strong favorite Nigeria emerged victorious in the Under-19 match against Liberia. It was a comfortable 61-16 win. Day 2 is expected to be more fun with more exciting fixtures coming up.
Right, most definitely the IHF competition is still happening at the Accra Sports Stadium. And later tonight, the Champions League returns, and Chelsea takes on Real Madrid tonight in the UEFA Champions League. While there's also a clash of 2 Italian teams in Napoli and AC Milan. Napoli have had a really good time this season in the Italian Serie A, leading the competition with 16 points on top of the table. But can AC Milan topple them to the Champions League place in the semi-final? We will tell tonight. And also, Chelsea takes on Real Madrid. And our Real Madrid manager, Carlo Ancelotti, has stated that he hopes Frank Lampard will succeed during his short stint at Chelsea. Meanwhile, Chelsea boss Frank Lampard says his side has to play to the occasion.
I have a fantastic memory of this club, of the people that are still working there, and I am a supporter of Chelsea, of course, because I spent 2 years really nice there. Be back? No, I think that Lampard, I hope that Lampard is able to do a fantastic job with them.
Some young players that we've got, we know, in the squad, but also we have some players that have achieved a lot. Champions League winners, World Cup winners, and these things. So I don't think it's something completely new to them. But of course, this is a stadium that, and the quarterfinals, an occasion, and we have to play the occasion because levels go up at this point in the competition. But we have to come in with a belief that we can perform under that pressure.
Well, you heard that from both coaches, and the clash is tonight at 7 p.m. My name is Yao Fosulab, and that's all the sports. Entertainment news is up next.
Good afternoon. Let's do some entertainment news updates here on Midday Live. My name is Noella. Now, promising hits music signed artist and VGMA Unsung Act of the Year nominee Chaka has been talking tough ahead of the declaration of the winner. Now, the Accra Fanfula singer told 3 Entertainments that he worked hard in the year under review and doesn't see any competition for the Unsung Act of the Year accolade.
Watch on, if you sing, go press 1. Ready to mingle, press 2. Your talk, craft and full. We there together.
We
worked for it. Hits Music worked for it. My management worked for it. For the VGMA, we are bagging out. We don't get any competitor. No. I'm telling you. Listen, people, more people they talk say we they come compete plus Links Entertainment and thing. Nana, we they wanna lane. No. We are taking it for the streets. You understand? Links Entertainment, them my boss reaches out, you know, say, you know, be them my own. Yeah, so. The unsung artists, I don't go talk chow. Yeah. Go check the records. Yeah, under review. When the artists for Ghana here, we work past me, though we be upcomer. You understand? We've worked, so we deserve it. You know, they say, forget everybody. Forget.
Superstar. Sexy girls in the Faro.
I'm very confident one day. I hope you guys are voting because the codes are out and wishing him all the best. Now, moving on, versatile Ghanaian artiste episode has opened up about the birth of his recent archive titled Atia. Now, he explained the process of recording with Kwabena and how the collaboration came about. Speaking to TV3 New Day this morning, he shared some opportunities Atia has opened for him.
Select to work with Kwabena?
Well, what happened with this song is it wasn't planned. So when I did a reggae, he loved it. And then I reached out, I wanted him to endorse it for me. So I drove to his place. Lucky enough, I had my gadgets in the car. And then I'm like, okay, why don't we do something? But he didn't really, I think he didn't understand what I wanted to do. And then I was like, okay, let's just experiment. So I started playing. And then he also started writing the lyrics. So the phone he was holding actually was reading out the lyrics. Yes. So when we did the first shoot, and then he was like, okay, can we take it now? And I'm like, no. We didn't make any mistake, so let's just keep it like that.
So wait, the first time you went to his house to get the endorsement, is the same day you recorded this?
That was it. And that was the first take. That was the only take.
So you recorded this with what? Your cameras?
Yes. Yeah, with cameras.
You had everything in your car? Why you drive around with all your gadgets?
I do most of my visuals and stuff, so I move around with them. I feel like it's growth for me. You know, the 10 years episode is not the one you see now. And the attention and the kind of respect and the kind of space that Atia has given to me, I must be grateful. The dance all took me to a different level, but I think like this has actually opened me to, acquire a respectable space. Quite learned people want to actually interact with you because they see that you're not just any type of artist. So for me, it's getting there.
Well, that'll be all for entertainment here on Midday Live. My name is Noella. We're handing over to Martin now.
Thank you very much. Let's find out what's happening on the international front. We're starting from the East African nation of Kenya, where the main opposition in that country has announced plans to hold direct engagements with the public as it prepares for talks with the government on electoral reforms. The coalition, led by veteran opposition leader Raila Odinga, said it remained committed to easing political tensions through dialogue after its anti-government protests turned violent last month. It said it would hold its first town hall meeting on Thursday, followed by a public rally on Sunday in the capital Nairobi to explain to the people where we are and the upcoming course of action. Both the ruling coalition and the opposition coalition have named their respective representatives in the talks, which Odinga insists should be expanded beyond Parliament. The opposition urged the government to come to the table with clean hands, unclenched fists, and a commitment to an honest and transparent process that engages all the issues bedeviling the country of Kenya. Last month, 3 people, including a police officer, died and property vandalized in anti-government demonstrations that also left hundreds of others injured. And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you very much for watching. Our website, 3news.com, has many more stories for you. I am Martin Asiedu Datem. Have a good afternoon, and as always, stay positive. Bye for now.